Hello and welcome to another episode of Ken Training, where we want to give you, the YouTube audience, the training that you need to tackle jobs like this one on your own. Today's job is going to be an HVAC job. We're working on a Liebert CRV unit in a IDF closet in a commercial office building, and we are going to be replacing this valve. This valve here, what it does is it is the condensing water valve. It is a three-way valve. You can see right here where it's got the terminology A, B, and then the combined flow of A and B going this way. And what's happening is that there's an actuator that goes on the valve body right here, and this is the stem of the valve. The actuator intercepts this stem and it depresses it to allow the internal valve itself to operate and flow. This is leaking, and what happened was it leaked over time, and it leaked onto the actuator. So the actuator's got like some rusted water color to it, and I think what's happened is that this leaking water is causing the actuator to slowly respond. So the unit was basically tripping out on high pressure. I'm going to take you to the unit right now. By the way, it's a little loud in there, so I wanted to do my video intro here before I go in there. When I go in there, the unit will be on. It'll be a little loud because it's loud in general. And then when I do the work, I'm going to shut it off so it'll be quiet. But trying to make the video presentation as good as I can for you folks in YouTube land. Smash that like button right now. Okay, we're inside the IDF room here. This is the IDF room on the 9th floor, just to give you a visual. This is the air conditioning unit that we're working on, and it is a Liebert CRV. It is an 8-ton unit, and it tells you here Emerson network. I have an external thermometer here that tells you that it's return temperature and the supply temperature of the room. This here is the control board, and you can see right now everything looks okay. If I hit this button over here and I go to alarms, it tells you that there's no alarms at this time. Come over here and hit this button again. I go to the event log button here, hit that, and now it tells you the event log. I've already troubleshooted this unit, so a lot of this, the last time I was here, which is on September 10th, 2020, it tells you basically what I was doing, but I'll tell you what I'm looking for here. Here, you can see high return temperature. Compressor number 1, high pressure. So I knew that I was having high pressure problems with my unit. So let me go ahead and shut this unit down. So we're going to go turn unit off. And are you sure you want to turn it off? Yes. The unit power is down and it takes 30 seconds. Let's just come back to you then. Alright, the unit is shut down now. You can see how much quieter the room is. This isn't even a really large room. This is just a small IDF closet. We just have these 2 rows of racks here. We have our air conditioning unit, and then we have 2 more rows of racks. The way these rooms work is they work with what's called a cold row and a hot row. This is the cold row because this is where the cold air comes out of the air conditioning unit this way. And going in the back of the room over here, this is where the hot air from the back of the racks, all the hot air on the racks, because it's traveling this way on the racks, the way the equipment is designed. Same thing over here. All these pieces of equipment, they have all their own fans and so forth. They're all traveling this way. Then the air conditioning unit here takes in the hot air here, and then inside here is the evaporator coil where it gets cold and all of that. Now we need to do our job inside here. I have to open up this. Okay, so I've got the compressor door opened, and you can see your scroll compressor right here, and looking at the compressor, here's your, I'm touching, my finger is right now on the suction line, and now my finger is touching the discharge line right here. So this is the high pressure sensor that I'm touching right here, that the unit was, this is how the unit was recognizing that it had a high pressure, okay? Okay, so right here where I'm pointing to, that is the actuator that the valve is connected to for the condensing water. It's deep in the unit and it's a little hard for me to get to, but that's it right there. So the first thing I need to do is I need to take the well, I got to shut the condensing water off. So the unit is off right now. I'm good there. I might as well go ahead and throw the disconnect. Alright, I'm going to shut the disconnect switch off. I know that feeds my air conditioning unit. Tells you right there, AC9. This here is the water, the two water lines that feeds the condensing water off of the building's water system. So I have to shut this valve off, and that's a bypass valve. That one's off, and then I have to shut that one off. So let me do that. Alright, the condensing water is off here and off there. We're good to go with the water. Alright, I've got two size crescent wrenches here. I'll try the smaller one first. If I can't get the actuator with this one, I'll use the larger one. I know one of these two wrenches will get it. There's a circle ring. If I can show you right, I'm going to try to show it to you. Hold on, but it's right there, right where my finger is at, in back of there. When I take this off, you'll see it really clearly. And then I'll just break that electrical connection right there, and then we'll have this actuator off. So just to kind of show you, you got to snake your hand on the back of the compressor this way, and then you come over here. My wrench is falling, but basically you can grab the back of the nut like this from this perspective. Okay, so this is what the actuator looks like. Here's the front of it. There's your model number right there. And this is what the back of it looks like. You can see the water corrosion that has leaked onto this. So I am going to replace this actuator. I just don't have the actuator today. It's supposed to arrive either late today or tomorrow. As soon as I get it, I'll replace it. But the valve came today, and that's what we're going to replace right now. There's the leaking valve. I'm pointing right towards it, but it's right there. Okay, so here's the valve all by itself. So I'm going to have to remove those three large nuts that hold this on. So I'm going to take my wrench. I'm going to cut out all the insulation that you see. Then I'm going to use this wrench right here in order to gain access to the three large nuts that hold that on. So that's the game plan, and here we go. Alright, I'm opening up the back of the cabinet. There are three Phillips head, flat bladed slotted screws here. You basically just turn this and you open up these door latches right here. That takes you to the air filter cabinet back here. Now what I'm doing is I'm taking out the bracket here which holds in the air filters. So this here is just a differential pressure sensor for the air filters. So now I can remove the filters. And let me go ahead and pull those out. Alright, so here's inside the cabinet. You're looking at the evaporator coil here. Here's the access panel. See these screws right here? 5/16" screws. There's three of them back here. I had to remove the air filters so I could use my tool here to gain access to them. So I'm going to open this panel door up, and we should be able to see the back of that line. Okay, here's what it looks like back here. There's the valve that we got to replace. I'm pointing right towards it. The camera's going a little crazy here. It's just getting hard to focus. But now that I got this access opened up, I'm going to remove this insulation so I can gain access, and then I'll give you another shot. But here you can kind of see the top half of everything that we're dealing with back here. Thank God they put this access panel in. Otherwise it would have been impossible for me to work on this thing. Alright, so here's a shot of the valve. I got the insulation peeled back. You can kind of see how I got my wrench on there. It's a little hard even for you to still see, but now I can gain access to the 3 nuts in order to pull out the valve. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now off camera because it's super hard and tight in here. Okay, here's the valve body there, the valve that we took out. Here's the valve that we're going to put in. You'll notice now when I took this valve out, I took it out in this configuration. So you can see the A and B are going down. But it's very easy to screw this thing up and put it in this way and put it in backwards. So I'm looking at the piping here, and I'm just going to observe the piping just to verify that everything looks good. Now you've got 2 lines here. The only thing that we don't know from this perspective is which is supply and which is return. So you can see the 2 pipes coming out of the unit right there and right there. And now let's go over against the wall. Okay, here's the 2 pipes that we saw going to the air conditioning unit. When you're looking at this valve configuration here, you have enough information to determine which way the water is going. Is it going this way or is it going this way? The way that you can tell is because of this strainer. That is a strainer. Strainers have an arrow. Even though I can't see the arrow right now, I know that the arrow is pointing that way. So this is the bypass valve here. So the normal flow comes down, goes this way, goes through this ball valve, comes over to here. This is the bypass line coming intercepting the T that way. So this line here, the water is normally traveling that way. That's the cold water inlet to the unit. That is the hot water outlet coming back and then going back to the cooling system that they have in the building. So let's use this as the inlet water and see where that goes. Okay, the lower one is the inlet water. You see that comes down and it's on that side. So looking inside of the unit, this one that I'm touching here, that is the inlet water. This is the outlet water. Okay, so I labeled it right here with my black Sharpie, outlet water, which is this pipe. I put a black mark here on the pipe, on the insulation. It's hard to see off camera. It's even hard to see like this, but there's your inlet water. So now let's follow this down and see what is happening. So if this is the inlet water here, and it is going to right there, it's going to right there, then the T's off right there. Now this line that I'm touching right there, so that's the back side of the T. So we know that there would be considered a cold water inlet going towards the valve. Okay, so we know that's a cold water inlet coming in. Now let's see if we can determine what this line is right here. This line is coming from the condenser. This is the condenser that I'm touching right here. This right here, hold on. This right here, you can see is the condenser. And I know that that is the inlet to the condenser at the bottom, and this is the outlet of the condenser at the top. So if this is the outlet of the condenser at the top, then that tells you that, looking at the valve body like this, okay, hold on, that tells you that when the valve is installed, hold on, like this, the A is the water coming from the condenser discharge. This line over here, the B, that's cold water, like a bypass valve, and then AB is the combination. Now let's see, the combination would go towards the bottom. So if we go towards the bottom, let's see where that goes. It looks like there's a T. It's really hard for you to see, but there's a T here, and then hold on, this thing is just such a mess. Okay, so see, looking at the bottom, there's so much piping here. It's actually a little bit of a maze with all the insulation. You can hardly make it out. Hold on a second. Let's see here. So the water at the bottom, it looks like it goes down this way here over to this line that I'm touching, and if you follow that line up, that line goes to the outlet. So indeed, The installers who put this valve in did it right, and of course I am going to do it right as well. So the A and the B go facing down. The valve goes in like this. Okay, this is how I'm going to install it, just like this. Alright, the new valve is in, and I got the water valves open, and I'm looking for leaks. And I'm taking there's a little bit of air in there because we've been off for a few minutes, so I'm going to take my screwdriver here and depress the plunger to try to get some airflow. So let me try to do that right now. I just got to change camera angles here because I need to get some leverage on this. I'm pushing up against spring tension. So let's give it a go. You might be able to hear the air coming out of the unit, going through the valve as I do this. Here we go. It's hard to push that, depress that plunger, I tell you that much. Let's see. I don't really see anything. I'll just take my shop vac. I'll go around it one more time. Take a rag and try to clean up some water just in case there's something I'm missing. Well, this is the best I can get it for now. You can see that I still have some breaches here, so I'm going to have to get some insulation tape, but I don't have any, so that's all I can do for now. I'm going to button this all back up, and then let's throw some gauges on here and test it out and see what our head pressure is. Okay, we got our refrigeration gauges on. The high side, low side, we're already opened up into the system, and let's see here. On the high side pressure, well, this is without the compressor running, but what is that? That's a little bit over 200 psi, and on the low side we're a little bit over 200, 210. So let's go ahead and turn this unit on. Oh, I also, on the water line, I also have one of these valves here, which has a Schrader valve depressor. The only problem is that it only goes up to 100 psi. So I have two of these valves, and so I already got one connected right here. So I'm monitoring the water pressure as well. But it's right now it's bouncing right at 100 psi. Oh, crap! You know what? I forgot to put the actuator back on. My bad. Alright, let me go and put this actuator back in. By the way, if you've never seen one of these actuators, the Siemens SSC61U, now there's three electrical lines that are right here, and two of them I think are 24 volts and one of them is 0 to 10 volts DC. And there's a manual when there's no voltage present on the valve, the actuator. What you can do is you can take this knob and you can turn it to manually adjust the depression of the valve. So right now, if you can see that is all the way, the actuator is all the way down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it to get this to actuate out. Let me show you the difference. Alright, I turn this knob all the way clockwise. You see how much that stem has depressed? This is the part that actually intercepts the actuator over here. Let me show you. See that stem right there? This is where it actuates this right here in order to cause your condensing water to adjust. This is how the whole thing works. Now, mind you, with me replacing the valve, that's not going to fix the problem. In our case, the root cause of the problem is this actuator is sticking. I can tell when I'm turning the valve manually that the mechanism inside here is gummed up. That's because of all the water leak that has happened to here. So with me changing out the valve, I took care of the reason why the actuator failed, but until the actuator is replaced, this unit is not going to be 100%. But I wanted to get, I'm going to have this actuator hopefully tomorrow, but I wanted to get this valve changed out now because I knew this was going to be the hard part of the job. This will be a piece of cake because it's basically just screwed in here and a quick connect here. So this is a slam dunk. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and put this back on because I still want to go ahead and do a test here, and I still want to see what my pressures are. The actuator is on the unit. Let's go ahead, turn the disconnect on, and let's get this thing online. Come over here. The screen's got to go through a boot up sequence. It's probably going to take about a minute, so I'll be back in a minute. Okay, this is what the screen looks like when you first turn it on. When you want to turn the unit on, you have to hit this over here, but you can't, and that is because your screen is in a locked condition. You can see that right there. So what I have to do is I have to go to the locked. I have to enter a code, hit enter, and then that goes to an unlocked condition. Be right back. Alright, I've entered the code. Now you can see I am in an unlocked condition. Come over here, press the menu down button, turn the unit on, hit that button. Are you sure you want to turn the unit on? Yes, turn the unit on. Okay, now there's a 30-second countdown. Be back in a few seconds. Okay, it says unit on here. Fan has started up. See the fan right there. There's our cooling. Let's go check our pressures. Alright, so the first pressure, I'm just going to look at this water pressure over here. There it is right there. It's kind of showing less than 100. And I'm just kind of looking at that. Anyways, that's holding steady. There's my repair job back there. I don't see any water leak or anything like that, which is good. Alright, here is the high pressure gauge. You can see it's cycling because the compressor cycles. I'll try to show you that as best as I can. satisfied super fast. Cooling's off and room temperature is fine, 72 degrees. So cooling's just not coming on because everything is shut down. We're in an off condition. I always like to share what the part number is that I'm working on. So here's the valve that came out of the unit, and here is the replacement part number, which I believe is a Liebert number. So this is the part number right there. If you want to take note in case you're working on one of these Liebert CRVs, you can see the part that I worked on. It did come with, let me see, when you look inside the box, it did come with an extra O-ring, which I don't even know what in the world you would do with that. I'm not sure exactly how to rebuild one of these things, if it's possible to field rebuild them or not. Let me show you what this paperwork looks like. Oh, it's Siemens. This must be a Siemens part number, not a Liebert part number. So anyways, this is the paperwork that came with it. There's a few different valve configurations here that you can get. Apparently a two-way, three-way that we're working on, and then even a four-way. But anyways, not too much, a little bit about the dimensions. So and here's how that actuator goes on. It gives you a little bit of a pictorial instruction right there. This is the this one looks like the actuator that I worked on. Just physically looking at the pictorial, see the difference between that picture and that picture. Mine look like this one. And that's it for now. Okay, that is as much work as we can do today. I need to get that actuator so I can change out the actuator, and then this job. Oh, and I also need to get some insulation tape, because when I had to cut out the factory insulation, I compromised the insulation, and now some sweat, some air can get in there, it can create sweat, and I don't want the pipe sweating, so I gotta purchase some insulation tape, get that on there, and wrap that up so everything's perfect. So when we do the actuator job, we'll also repack the insulation around anything that's compromised. So we'll kill both those birds at the same time, put everything back online, check our pressures, and hopefully we'll be good to go. But that's it for now. We have our brand new actuator here. This is the brand new one. We have to install it, and this is the box that it came in. And it looks, it's a Siemens product. This must be the part number down here, the SSC61.5U, and PowerMite 500 series valve actuator. Okay, so and it also came with this paperwork here. Oops. And there's a little bit of instructions here. Let me tell you, this font is kind of small and hard to read, but it does have some pictorials and stuff like that. But we'll go through it. It's not that difficult, but there are a few steps. Right now, the way that I've got this this valve set up, it's set up in the fully open position. What I mean by that is, see that, how extended that is? I'm going to put my finger right on it, right there. That stem right there, this is what actuates with the valve. Right now it's fully extended, so when we do the install, we have to retract that before we put that on the valve. So right now it's the one it's at the 1. We need to have it set to the 0, and we'll go through that step in just a second. Here's the part number here as well. Plus we need to take out a couple of Phillips head screws here in order to do it. So we'll grab the old valve, we'll put the two side by side, and we'll show you the comparison. I also purchased some of this insulation tape, which is that type of tape that's got the sticky background on it there, adhesive on the background. Alright, so as you can see, I've got the unit shut down. The room is quiet. I have my disconnect off right there. I got the back door opened up, air filters out of the unit, took off this access cover here because it puts this valve right here, is super easy to get to. I've already disconnected the electrical plug, which is right, let's see if I can show it to you. You got 1,000, you know, it's a little hard to see in the camera. Hang on, where the hell is it? Right there, you can see it right there, disconnected. Okay, so now we're just going to take our crescent wrench here, and we're going to grab it right down here, and right there, you can see that. I'm just going to turn this and take this off. It's very, very, oh, and by the way, I made sure that that the actuator was at 0. Let me show you what I mean by that. You see right there how that is, this 0 is lined up with that dot. Plus I tried to turn the valve counterclockwise right here, and you can't because it's all the way to the 0 position, meaning that the stem inside is all the way retracted. We'll pull this off and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so I just pulled out the old valve, and you can, the old actuator, and you can see here how it's just fully retracted. So that's what I was talking about with the 0 position, which is the 0 right there. Well, it's not exactly lined up, it's actually a little bit past it, but point is that it's in the 0 position. Okay, and just so that you can see the valve, there it is right there, and we have to put some insulation and stuff like that on. And it would probably be smart to do that before we put the replacement actuator on, only because I have a little bit really good access right now all the way around around the piping and stuff. So let me just go get my insulation tape and put a little bit of energy into that. Okay, so insulation tape, that's about how much I used right there. Here's the job that I did, and this stuff works really well. Anyways, just to kind of show you, a little hard for you guys to see everything, but anyways, it's I did a really good job. It's perfect. Okay, let me show you over here on the front of the valve. Look at that, pretty. I don't think we have to worry about any sweat. I made sure my threads were all opened up so that when I screw it on, it'll screw on without being interfered by the insulation. So that portion of the project is completed. Let's go get our actuator ready. Alright, here are the two valves side by side, and let's start with the new valve, and let's open up the Phillips head screws that are here in the back. Alright, this here is just the channel that it goes through this way. See how that works. Not quite sure how that works. Alright, let's not worry about that. Now we'll take out the old one. Oh boy. Okay, so all the same color, and gonna have to make sure that we land these exactly in the same spot here on the replacement valve actuator, on the replacement actuator. So what I'm gonna do, just to make my life a little bit easier, is I'm going to put one dot on the first terminal 2 dots on the second terminal, 3 dots on the last terminal, just to make it 100% idiot proof. Let me see if I can also just double check the wiring here. Let's see. Hold on. Okay. So it's GO, G, and Y is how it's labeled. Let me see what it says over here. Oh, look at that. GO, G, and Y. You can't even mess it up. So we're fine. We're perfectly fine. We don't even need to label it. Okay. Let's go ahead and disconnect this. Now that all the wiring is done, I'm just going to verify my connections from the endpoint terminal here to the screw terminal there. So I'm just going to do a continuity check, starting with this one here in the back. And you see that one's good. Go to the middle one. Good. Might as well check, make sure there's no cross-contamination there. Good. And we're fine. Just double check this last one more time. Good. Okay, we are 100%. All the electrical is good. Let me put the cover back on and we'll be good with that. Alright, now that all of the wiring is connected to our brand new actuator, we want to retract the stem, which is right here. Show you. This is what it looks like in the fully open position, so that the valve is opened like 100%. So what we are going to do is we are going to take the manual knob here. There's no power to it, so you can do this. We're going to turn this counterclockwise. You have to kind of move it slow, because if you move it too fast, listen, it doesn't turn. You have to kind of turn it slowly, like this, and so it doesn't jump. So it's not a very fast action, but as I'm turning this counterclockwise, you'll see that this 0 is coming over to here, and this here is retracting, which is exactly what you want to put in your brand new actuator. So this way it'll be the easiest to put in when you go to screw it on, okay? So we're just going to keep retracting this 100%. Okay, so it went a little bit beyond 0, but as you can see here, it's 100% retracted, okay? Which is exactly what you want. This actuator is now good to put in. Now, while I've got the old actuator here, which is in the fully retracted position, so it's a 0 opening. So just to give you a comparison, this one here, let me just, out of curiosity, turn it fast. Well, I guess it's okay to make it jump, because now this one is opened. I guess you don't need to baby it like I was. I didn't want to, you know, when you hear it making that cracking, this jumping sound here, like this, feels like you're kind of hurting the valve, but it actually is turning. All right. Now, this is what I believe is what was causing me the high head pressure. I believe the water leak leaked into this actuator, and it caused it to not respond properly, and which caused my high head pressure. So with me changing this actuator out, this is what is going to make this air conditioning unit reliable. Let's go put this new actuator in. Alright, here's your new actuator installed. Electrical is all set down right there. You can see that there. And coming up here, here's your top view. Just to kind of show you everything. I know it's kind of awkward possibly from you in YouTube land, but whatever. It is 100% installed. I'm going to put this access panel back, put the air filters back, and we are going to get this unit online. I still have my gauges hooked up here so we can check pressures, and I got my water gauge hooked up here so we can see what's happening there. So we're going to test off here in just a second. Alright, here we go. I'm turning it on, and it's going to go through a startup sequence. There's a little bit of an alarm. Let me silence that. Let's see here. What do we got here? Compressor reduce. Let's see what that alarm is. Reduced by horsepower. Okay, I'm not sure why that came on. Oh, maybe because of brand new valve. I don't know. Everything should be fine though. We'll test it out right now and make sure we're good. See if there's any alarms. Yeah, actually that's an alarm right now. Okay, let's go to service, user. Alright, I want to drop the set point because I need this compressor to actually run. And I don't know why it's saying that we're in an alarm, unless it needs to be reset. Let's see here. Let me figure this out. Alright, I lowered the set point to 70, and I'm going to, right now we have 50% cooling. Let's see what the compressor's doing. Okay, we're in the system. Let's see what it's doing here. I'm trying to see what's going on with the high side. Water valve right here. Now another thing that I can do is I can feel the refrigerant. Show you. Alright, you see this copper line right there? That's the refrigerant going into the condenser. This copper line right there at the bottom that's coiled around, that's the condenser, the refrigerant leaving the condenser. So if I take my hand and physically touch that line, I can tell what that temperature is of that refrigerant leaving the condenser. And I can tell you it's not hot. It's like warm. It's cycling back and forth as the valve is opening and closing for the condensing water, because this is adjusting. But as that adjusts, and as the compressor cycles, it's like a combination of things going on here. You see the valve moving right there. The valve moved just a second ago. But as all this happens, that temperature fluctuates, but it's not hot by any means. I should not be tripping out on high head. and I think that just because I was turning, I turned on the unit and I went from with the valve in the fully closed position is why I got that compressor reduced by horsepower. We should be good to go at this point in time. Alright, so here are the old parts that came out of the unit. So just to show you how this interface works, basically you're just putting this on here, the actuator on the valve itself with the valve body, screwing that on like this, and then hold on a second, I'm trying to get that in there tight. Okay, there it is. Now I'm going to screw that in there tight and I'm going to show you something. So right now the valve is in a 0 position, so I'm going to turn this to the right and let's see if you can see. I'm not sure if you can or can't. Hang on one second. Let's see if you can see it from this perspective here. You can really feel that tension when I turn it. Okay, you see that? Let me see if you can see right there. I'm going to try to hold the flashlight. It's a little hard to do this all with my hands. Hold on. I'm trying to get it so that you can see it, but what I'm doing here, hang on. I know it's a little hard for you to see. Alright, so I'm turning the valve and I'm opening the valve. And here you can see the disc. Now let me turn it counterclockwise to close it. You can hear it? See it going down? So this is how this whole interface works and basically how this whole thing screws together and stuff like that. While it's out like this, I just thought I'd give you the best pictorial of exactly how this mechanism works, and you need this for your condensing water. This is what controls the condensing water going to the condenser, in my case, because it's a water-cooled condenser. Okay, that is going to conclude this video, and I hope that you got some tips and tricks in case you're working with one of these things. This was the first one I've ever changed out, and that's it. These units are, to me, are slightly complex compared to what I'm used to, which is like a packaged air conditioning unit, standalone. These computer room units are definitely more sophisticated than my normal realm, but I think I was able to get this one taken care of, so I feel pretty confident about that. Anyways, go ahead and smash that like button down, leave a comment about what you thought about this project, subscribe to my channel, Ken Training. I will catch you on the flip side.